Indiana's got the Heisman winner. They got Coach of the Year. What else do they need in order to win the 2025 national title?
Welcome back to First and Short. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your first place to get short bits of college football news and analysis. We are hosted today by myself, Mashfik, and my co-host here, Aaron. Just want to say, please subscribe. Please watch our videos. Please share our videos. The season's wrapping up. Our first season's wrapping up. The national title game is tomorrow, and we've seen a lot of growth on this channel. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to carry this energy into what they call the off season. We're going to continue to talk about transfer portal stuff, how teams change throughout the spring and the summer, and what teams kind of have to go through in order to get over the hump. But we've got content planned out for all of that. We want to make sure that you guys stay tuned before we start the 2026 season. So for the agenda today, Aaron, let's talk about the transfer portal. It is closed now. So, what's the current landscape looking like? How's it shaping up as we finish out this season and look ahead to next season? Last episode, we gave 5 reasons why Miami was going to win the game. Today, we've got 5 reasons why Indiana will win on Monday night. So we'll get into that. And then, of course, we'll give our final prediction on who we think will win the game. So, Aaron, why don't you start us off with, the transfer portal closed. Today's Sunday, but it closed on Friday. I know some players are still because of paperwork delays and stuff like that, apparently they can still put their names in. I did not know that, or maybe I forgot that. But who are the top transfers and what are they currently looking like in terms of where they're going to head to?
Yep, of course. Let's start with number 1, Sam Leavitt, the transfer out of Arizona State. Lane Kiffin got him. He's going to LSU. We'll get to see him play some SEC ball next year, so that'll be interesting. Very interesting for sure. Yep. And then right ahead, right below him at number 2, you got Brendan Sorsby, quarterback at Cincinnati, had a great year. Going to Texas Tech. And I've heard the rumors of, okay, Texas Tech, they had the defense, they had most of the offense except, that dynamic electric quarterback player. So they're hoping to bring him in to get to that next step to where, when they face a powerhouse or elite defense, they have a guy who's going to be able to do more than just,
They're hoping they can score more than 0 points in the college football playoff. Gotcha.
Yep. Interesting one. So I see at number 4, you got, Jordan Seaton out of Colorado, right?
Yeah.
Highly recruited tackle out of, I think he's from the Georgia area. I'm not quite sure.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay. I'm not sure about that one either.
I gotta double check and fact check that one, but it's gonna be interesting to see where he goes. As of right now, we don't see him predicted or committed anywhere, so he's gonna have to make a decision once the portal opens back up.
He's from DC, but he went to IMG.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So DC guy went to IMG. It's gonna be interesting to see who picks him up, and then of course at number 6. Cam Coleman, right? The highly recruited number 1 receiver in the portal is going to Texas, going to give Arch Manning some help, and make impact still in the SEC, just with a different SEC school.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I wanted to highlight the 5th ranked player in the transfer portal, Princewell Umanmielen. His brother, Princely, played, he started at Florida, ended up at Ole Miss when they had that, really great defensive line. And he's in the league now. I think Princewell will probably go to LSU. I haven't looked into what the crystal balls kind of predict, but I figure he's probably just going to continue to follow Lane Kiffin around. But he's a great player too, and he was really great on that Ole Miss defense. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to take a look at team rankings right now. What we noticed, Aaron, while we were doing some research into this was On 3 does it one way and 24/7 they do it a different way. I thought so let's start with 24/7. These are the top classes. We saw that it's not weighted for number of players or who's leaving. So right now LSU makes sense. They've got a new coach. They had the hottest coaching search, so of course they're going to have a great transfer portal class incoming. So they've got a current 37 number, a number of 37 commits total coming in. Ole Miss, they're having a coaching change as well. They've got the number 2 class, which is great for them considering uh, you know, they had a great coach leave, but now it looks like they'll be able to continue the success that he's leaving behind. Texas is number 3. Obviously, having Cam Coleman in that is gonna boost your numbers. Ohio State, they're looking to, they're obviously not happy with the way this year ended. They're throwing the bag at these guys. They're number 4 on the list. Number 5, Penn State. The coach is basically bringing all of Iowa State with them, so it makes sense that they're pretty high up on this list. And then Oklahoma State, they have 51 commits, so that whole team is just different. So, yeah, so that's the top 6 classes right now. On 3, they do it a little differently. I I think it provides a little bit more of a holistic view because it also considers who's leaving. So it kind of gives a total team talent uh, kind of view into what the team is going to look like next year. And guess what? Who's number 1 on this list? It's the Hoosiers, Indiana. So they rank number 1 in total team makeup in the transfer portal. Texas Tech is on that list at number 2. Texas A&M. So a lot of Texas schools. Louisville is number 4. Virginia Tech. That makes sense. He's the coach, James Franklin. He's bringing a lot of talent from Penn State into Virginia Tech, and then Houston's on there. So a lot of Texas teams. Aaron, I want to ask you, comparing these 2 lists, right? One is a more holistic view. One is just like who we're just bringing like total amount of talent in per class. What sticks out to you? What kind of trends do you notice here?
Yeah. So if you look at that holistic view where it's showing you, which teams are, I guess, in a way, giving you a barometer are going to be better with what they're losing and what they're gaining. Most of those schools, like, Indiana, Texas Tech, Louisville, Virginia Tech, those are the schools that, are trying to get on the rise of being better teams, newer to this being a powerhouse, being the standard, right? If you look at who's ranked high in terms of just for the people they're bringing in and not what they're losing, those are more your traditional powerhouses, standard, blue bloods. So that's like the LSU, historic, traditionally known for being
Mm,
good, Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, Ole Miss. Those are all schools that have, have been at this level, and they're doing whatever they need to bring in whoever to maintain that level of play, right?
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Um, I also want to point out, like Indiana's, they're the number 1 ranked in terms of who's coming in, who's leaving, but they're gonna have a lot more people leave once the season ends. Right? They're still in they're playing tomorrow night, so they're gonna have a lot more people leave. So that ranking may change, but it's great. It's cool to see Indiana still in that spot, considering how they got to this level of success. They built it through the transfer portal. A lot of other teams have tried to do it and haven't found that same success. So we'll see how that fizzles out after tomorrow, I guess. Um, yeah. Any last thoughts on the transfer portal so far?
No. So I mean, on that second list where we get the holistic view of teams, and their who's coming in, who's coming out. I'm noticing, that NIL adjusted value and some of the numbers that they're starting to, just get up there. Like Indiana with their NIL adjusted value at 5.5 million. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money. So
So
it's
I wonder if that means that's how much they're paying their transfers come adjusted NIL value, because the rosters are typically in the 20, 30 millions now. So I
mhm,
wonder if that's 5.5 just for these guys that are coming in, I guess.
yeah. I mean,
Mm,
potentially.
yeah,
17 total. Well, yeah, 17 total guys coming in.
that makes
Could be.
sense.
Yeah.
Mark Cuban
Yep.
shelling out that money.
He's probably got more to give, or there's no telling what's going to happen when their season's finally over and they have this
Yeah,
5-day window to do whatever.
right.
Yeah, so we'll see. Yep. Speaking of Indiana being in number 1 in that holistic view and, just doing what they can to maintain players and get players out of the portal, it obviously worked these past 2 years, right? They made their first uh, college football playoff appearance a year ago, and then now today they're right back in it. They're competing for a national championship tomorrow.
Mhm.
So, um, like you said at the beginning of the episode, we have 5 reasons why Indiana will win the college football national championship. I'll kick it off with number one, and I think this one's probably the most obvious one that football fans are probably going to call out. It's they have the Heisman winner Fernando Mendoza.
Yep.
Yep. So for me, this guy, he's kind of hard not to like, right? We'll get to his stats and his physical ability in a second, but it seems like he's, such a giddy, honest person in his interviews. I feel like the person we see in the interviews is genuinely probably the same person we see in the locker room and on and off the field. So he's going to be a leader for this offense like he's been this whole season, right? Um, I think the NIL era of football has proven one thing, and that's the right players can truly turn a team around or continue to lead their level of effort into historic success. Um, we know Mendoza is going to be even more hyped because he'll get a chance to play in his hometown for a national championship, so he may come with even more energy. Um, so I'm not sure if these Miami natives are only going to be rooting for the Hurricanes in the stadium on Monday night.
Hmm.
Should be interesting. So, aside from character, leadership skills, let's talk about his stats and his ability this year for a moment. Um, as a Hoosier, compared to his playing careers at Cal, this is statistically the best year Mendoza has had in his career.
Mhm.
Um, I've got some stats here below, and I'll talk about some things that stick out to me. Completion percentage. He has a completion percentage this year of 73%, highest out of all his years in college. And I mean, it's an indicator of him being able to get the ball effectively to his receivers. And there aren't many passes that he throws that are non value added, right? Um, Another stat that, you know, I look at would have to be average yards per pass. He's averaging about 9.5 yards per play. That's number one in the nation among starters. Only person that was ahead of him was Aaron Philo, the backup out of Georgia Tech, who's now at Florida, which I
Yeah.
mean, you can't
He probably
really.
did he probably came in for a couple of trick plays or something, right?
Exactly, right, right.
Yeah.
Another thing, um, having a 9.5 yards per pass play average essentially sets you up for a first down every play. So it's like it's no wonder they're able to just control the ball as much as they want in these games we've been playing all year. Um, he's almost doubled the amount of touchdowns he's thrown this year. He's thrown 41, which is number one in the nation. Nobody else has more. Um, he's had 300 more yards passing since last year. When he was at Cal, he threw for 3,000 yards. Um, he's his passer rating is up almost 40 points at 188, which is number one in the nation from any starter. Again, the only person higher than him was Aaron Philo, but it's
Oh,
because
wow.
he, yeah, exactly. So,
I
um,
I I did wanna point out, yeah, I'm looking at these stats, his stat profile, over the last couple years. He has improved every year. His numbers, between his last year at Cal and this year at IU, they're pretty similar. Like, his completion percentage went from 69 or so to 73. His
yep,
yards went from 3,000 to 3,300, but the biggest jump went from touchdown. It went from 16 to 41. So, the amount of efficiency on the IU side is actually pretty jarring how much better, like, the numbers the production got, even though the numbers were almost the same.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, what's my point in all of this? I'm trying to say that Miami, you're going to see, even though you've seen Mendoza at Cal once before, you're going to see the best version of himself to date. Although you've seen Trinidad Chambliss Miami, although you've seen Julian Sand, statistically, you have not seen a better quarterback to date. I think it's obvious, with clear advantages. It's obvious when you have the Heisman winner who's supposed to be the most valuable player in the NCAA on your team, that's going to be the probably one of the biggest advantages this Indiana team has against Miami. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Yeah, great, start to why Indiana will win the championship tomorrow night. I want to go to the other side of the team. Talk about a little bit of defense. So they have a wall against the run, and the last episode we talked about Miami will need to establish the run in order to win against Indiana. Keep the offense on the sidelines, that sort of thing. Good luck, because Indiana finished the regular season number 1 against the run. Right now, considering the playoffs, they're like number 3 or something. But I'm going to be looking for Aiden Fisher to have his linebacker for Indiana. I'm going to imagine that he has his eyes on Mark Fletcher if they try to come up the middle, if they try to run it up the middle. Aiden Fisher, he followed Cignetti from James Madison, and he's actually become in Indiana history the first team All-American linebacker in Indiana history. So he's played for Kurt Cignetti for a long time. He knows the system. He is really dialed into what this team is trying to accomplish on the defensive side. If the running back, Mark Fletcher, or if they try to like swing it out to Tony to play on the outside, Elijah Hardy, he's usually the one waiting for him. Even though he's a linebacker, he's got 2 interceptions on the season, so he's got amazing speed and twitchiness. He plays the run, but he can still fill in those passing lanes in a blink. So I think they're gonna look to shut down the number 1 way that Miami could win this game with these elite linebacking core.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. Speaking of that, defense and how elite they are, they've been elite in scoring as well. The offense gets the headlines, but the defense has been the real backbone of this 15-0 run for the team, right? Indiana's defense has allowed only 11.1 points per game, right? Throughout the 2025 season. So that's ranked second in the nation. For perspective, the 2011 Alabama team, they only allowed 8.2 points per game, and first all time.
So yeah, they were first all time, right?
Yep, they were first all time essentially. Third
Yeah.
all time is that Ohio State team where they only allowed about 9.3 points per game.
Mm.
So, I mean, historic numbers. But just to kind of compare, levels of like I guess goatness or all time, you know, they're
Yeah.
really close to that historic Alabama 2011 team.
Gotcha. That's crazy that the Ohio State team was number 3 of all time. That defense was stacked, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
know they produced some goose eggs this year, so
Mhm.
that probably helped contribute to keeping that average really really low. Um, yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think I saw something like in 15 games, the Hoosiers, they've held opponents to 10 points or fewer like 7 times. They have 15 games, half of them under 10 points. So very elite defense right there. The next point I want to make, number 4, it kind of mixes offense and defense a little bit, but I just call this section trench work. And this is where Indiana really shines. So I'll start on the offensive side, the offensive line. These guys are Joe Moore Award finalists, one of the most experienced units, offensive line speaking, in the entire league. They are entering this game allowing the fewest pressures in the entire Big Ten. So good work keeping Mendoza off the grass and giving him time to do what he needs to do in order to help this team win. This group has stayed healthy, and this starting 5 has started together all 15 games. So that level of continuity, just like second nature, knowing what your partner is going to do, like that really helps on the offensive line. In the 2025 season, they helped Indiana University average over 5 yards per carry as a team. That obviously helps. You do that twice, you get a first down, right? So these guys, they have the characters to keep Miami's like Ruben Bain Jr. from living in the backfield. And if they, as long as they do that, Mendoza will be able to pick the Hurricanes apart. One fun fact that I found straight from the Joe Moore website: only 13% of Indiana's rushes went for 0 or negative yards. Only 13%, despite being blitzed 34% of the time. So other teams are sending the bodies, but they're able to protect whatever the offensive plan is for that specific play. So that's offensive line. I think that'll be a strength for them against Miami. I want to talk about defensive line real quick. Indiana is a team that they like to rotate their defensive line in order to keep their legs fresh by the end of the game, the fourth quarter. So I saw a stat, they rarely let a starter play more than 60% of the game's defensive snaps. So players like Mikhail Kamara and Stephen Daly, they aren't forced to play 70 plus snaps the way Ruben Bain or Akeem Mesidor is. So they remain explosive in those final few minutes of the game, and they're able to make a difference in case the game is close, right? So in the Rose Bowl against Alabama, IU's defensive line was statistically faster on their final drive than they were on their first. So that's really impressive. Great way to keep energy and keep momentum going up until the last moments of the game.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, wow. Great points. Very interesting strategy, keeping your players and guys fresh. The last point we have, so we talked about, the star, the quarterback. We've talked about the offensive defensive line. I want to talk about the offensive supporting cast that Mendoza has, right? Um, he has so much success, but I definitely want to start with the thing that allows him to have that success, and that's the run game. He has some outstanding running backs. The duo Roman Hemby and Kalon Black, they both average at least 5 yards a carry.
Hmm.
So, as an offense, having a run that effective, it helps set up for play action passes. It causes teams to key on what you do in the box, maybe bring more players in to focus on the run game, and it opens up the pass game. I think if this duo can be as half as effective as they usually are, it'll be enough to control the ball and win the game. Um, if you move on to the receiving core, so there's, undeniably, no doubt, Omar Cooper Jr. is Mendoza's favorite target. But in the semifinal game last week, it seemed like we saw more explosive plays coming from Elijah Sarab. Uh, 2 touchdowns and 75 yards receiving from somebody who's not your receiver one speaks to the depth this team has at receiver. I mean, if you don't believe me, take a holistic view at the stats from the Oregon game. Mendoza threw passing touchdowns to 4 different receivers in a college football playoff semifinals game.
Yeah.
That's kind of unheard of in a way. Uh, when you look at Mendoza, heading into this matchup with Miami, the story is pretty simple. I mean, he's walking into this game with a toolbox that's fully stocked. Those wide receivers, they're going to give him, vertical juice and sideline reliability to stretch the Hurricanes defense. The running backs, again, they add that balance. Those chains are going to move on carries. Those swing passes are going to turn into chunk plays. And, that enables the ability to make sure Miami stays honest on defense, that they can't cheat and overplay and anticipate what you're going to do. They just have to read and react. And then the tight ends, I haven't spoken much about them, but I think they're the glue of this offense, right? I think they're matchup nightmares, safety blankets, and guys you can turn to on a third and medium, and make that a 1st and 10. So again, all in all, Indiana, they've been the perfect team with record this year, and I think it speaks volumes as to how great they are as a team this year as a whole.
Yeah. Crazy
Yeah.
amount of weapons in terms of supporting cast and what Mendoza has as at his disposal.
Mhm.
Aaron, I think it's time to make our final predictions then. All right. So I'll let you go first. Let's consider all 5 reasons we gave for Miami. Let's consider these 5 reasons that we've got here for Indiana. Who would you say is going to win the national title for 2025?
Yeah, yeah. I believe the last time I looked at the spread for this game, it was leaning Indiana's way at 8.5. Um, I think Indiana will win the game, and I think they'll even cover the spread. I just think they're going
Mm,
to be too powerful. The way they look better against Oregon versus the first time playing against them, like beating a team twice, but not only beating a team twice, beating them down the second time you play them.
yeah,
I think it
impressive.
just proves that they're not, they didn't peak in the middle of the season and they're
Mm,
starting to level off. They're just getting better and better every week.
yeah.
So that's my pick.
Okay.
Hmm.
So you're saying Indiana and covers the spread, right?
Yep.
I think considering I just want to say, like, Miami's a great team. They kind of rely on a few people a lot,
Mhm.
whereas Indiana just has so many options, so many different people that can be a difference maker. And they have Indiana has the clutch gene. I think Miami will keep it close. I think Indiana will win this game, but I don't think they'll cover the spread. I think it'll be a close game near the end. But Indiana just has too many weapons and too many different ways to win. One of them will figure itself out. We've seen we've seen uh what's my Mario Cristobal. We've seen him fold at the worst times. This is probably the worst time to fold, and even if they have a lead, I think that might end up rearing its head as well. So anyway, lots of reasons why I think Indiana will win. But yeah, that's our final choice here. So let us know in the comments what you think about all of our thoughts. If we're off base, if one of our 5 reasons sounds super crazy, let us know in the comments, and we'll come back later this week and see how right or wrong we were. So, any final thoughts, Aaron, before we log off before tomorrow's game?
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be exciting. I hope if any of our viewers are going, I hope you got your parking passes already.
Yeah,
I've never seen just such an expensive environment, so should be fun.
yeah, awesome, awesome.
Mm.
Well, we'll check back in later this week, and hope you guys enjoy the game. Thanks.